Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we are going to be starting a new project, and this project is going to be about taking photographs of objects that look like the letters in your name. And then after you take those photos, we can glue them onto a board and make a sign with them. So here is the one that Cricket made. We went for a walk around the neighborhood and went to the playground that's nearby to find different objects. And it's a little bit hard to see in this light, but this is a playground slide that looks like a letter C. Here's a drinking fountain that looks like a lowercase r, and so forth. So we got all of the letters in their name. So the purpose of this project is to help you see things the way they aren't. And what I mean by that is I want you to start to train your eye to look at things in a different way, to look at old things in a new way. So I'm going to show you how to take those pictures and what you need to do to crop them and get them ready. And then after you have taken those pictures and gotten them printed out somewhere, I will show you how to put them together to make a sign like Cricket's that you can hang somewhere. Here's an example of a light post that looks like the letter I. It's pretty straightforward. But you also need to look at things upside down, backwards, sideways to see if they will make the letter you're looking for if you just manipulate the camera a little bit. So let me show you an example of that. So this was taken at a playground and it looks like a letter N. But if you take the picture and you flip it upside down, it could also make a letter U. This picture was also taken at the playground, and it's a picnic table. Now, if you look at it this long way, the horizontal way, it just looks like a picnic table. But if you take the picture and you flip it on its side, then we can make it look like the letter K. Another thing to watch for while you're taking pictures is to pay attention to what's behind the object you're taking a picture of. Because sometimes there's so much going on behind the object that it just blends in really closely. And it's easier to tell that by looking through the camera and seeing it the way the camera sees it, because then you can kind of see how the background blends in. So here's an example of a light post, of course, and then here's another light post. And they are both very similar, but they have different backgrounds, and you can kind of decide which one you think makes the light post show up the best. Sometimes we were trying to take pictures of tree branches, but we could see where the letter was formed by the tree branches, but there were so many other branches in the background that it just blended in and you couldn't actually see that there was a letter there. So you'll want to watch for that as well. Okay, so you found the perfect object that you want to take a picture of, and you're looking through the camera lens. What you want to do is frame that really well so that the object almost touches the top and almost touches the bottom of your frame, and almost to the sides as well. You want to get in really close if you can. You want to leave a little bit of room so that you can crop the picture later and make some adjustments, but mostly you want it to fill up that frame. You also want to make sure that you keep it in portrait orientation. And so what that means is when you're looking at the letter and it's the right way, that it's taller than it is wide, because we want them all to be the right direction when we're ready to print them out. I want to show you how I did this process by getting a picture of a letter E from this fence. All right, so I'm going to tip my camera so that the E will be facing the right direction, and I get in really as close as I can, and then I use my zoom and I get it almost to the top and bottom and almost to the sides, and then take that picture. Another thing that you can do is you can actually set up the picture that you need to take. I don't really recommend doing this if you can avoid it, because the idea is that you're finding letters already out there, already made. And by setting up a letter like this, it's not very consistent with the other letters that you find. But occasionally you have to do it because it's really tough to find some of these letters. So if you need to go to that point, then go for it. So again, the idea of this project is to find other things that look like the letters that you want to use for your name. So finding letters already formed, like in a sign or something like that, it's okay, but it's not really the point of what we're working on today. All right, so now that you've found and taken pictures of all the letters in your name, it's time to edit those photos. So there are a few things you need to remember. You need to make sure that they're in portrait orientation, so make sure that they are all the tall rather than wide way. You want to, while you're cropping, make sure that they stay the same dimensions. So that means if you have a tall picture and you crop it and suddenly it's square, that's going to cause some problems when you go to get them printed out. And then you also want to make sure you leave a little bit of room on the sides, because when you get them printed in 4x6 format, sometimes they have to trim those sides off. So make sure you have a little bit of room there to do that. I'm going to show you how I edit this picture of the fence that I took so that it looks like a letter E and is facing the right direction. So first I need to rotate it so that it's facing the right direction, so it looks like an E. And then I'm going to zoom in. Now notice I clip off a little at the top first, and I shouldn't do it that way. I should just work with the corners so it stays about the same dimensions. But now you can see I've cropped it in close, so now it's pretty evenly spaced with space all around the edges. You can see with this picture, it gets a little too close to that top edge. It's supposed to be a T, and so it was purposely cut off at the top so it would look like a T, but I'm a little concerned that when we get it printed, it's going to end up trimming that off and it will just look like a letter I. So you'll want to be careful not to get so close to the edges that will be a problem. Another thing you can do while you're editing your pictures is you can play with the color. So if you want to make them all black and white or kind of a sepia tone or saturate them with color, you can do that. I prefer just going with the colors that all the objects are naturally, but it's really up to you.